Hey everyone, I'm Kim and welcome back to Crime Stats Daily. This is a channel where we go beyond the headlines to examine the facts, the statistics, and the stories behind crime in America. Now, our goal is simple: to separate myth from reality using reliable data and credible research. If you enjoy fact-based crime analysis, please subscribe and join me here each week as we delve into the numbers. Now, let's get started. Now, before I begin today's story, I want to be transparent about the sources used for today's report. At the time this episode was produced, which was yesterday, August the 6th, 2026, I did not have access to the complete criminal indictment filed in this case. The information presented today is based on reporting from multiple local and national news organizations, statements released by the Bronx District Attorney's Office, information reported during court proceedings, and official information released by the City of Mount Vernon. Whenever I discuss what prosecutors claim happened, I will clearly identify those statements as allegations. As always, every defendant in this case is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. Now let's begin. Now, on August the 5th of 2026, a case out of New York captured national attention. A former deputy police commissioner, her husband, and her 20-year-old son were arrested following what prosecutors describe as a gang-related shooting outside the Bronx Criminal Court. Now, according to prosecutors, Jennifer Lackard, a former police deputy commissioner with the Mount Vernon Police Department, is accused of helping her son before and after the shooting. If those allegations are ultimately proven in court, this case raises important questions about police trust, accountability, and the responsibilities that come with serving in a public safety leadership role. Now, before we examine the allegations in this case, it's important to understand who Jennifer Lackard is and the career she built before these charges were filed. Now, Jennifer Lackard is 49 years old, and until her recent arrest, she served as a deputy police commissioner with the Mount Vernon Police Department. Now, Mount Vernon borders the Bronx, for those of you unfamiliar with that area. And that's where she oversaw the department's Community Affairs and Wellness Division. Now, unlike many people in police leadership positions, Jennifer Lackard was not a sworn law enforcement officer. Instead, she built a career in community services. Now, according to information released by the City of Mount Vernon, she spent approximately 15 years working in behavioral health, substance abuse treatment, criminal justice reform, community outreach, and programs that helped formerly incarcerated individuals successfully re-enter society. She also served on the Bronx Community Board 9, where she worked on community issues affecting local neighborhoods. Now, when Mount Vernon appointed her in 2020, city leaders said her experience would help strengthen relationships between the police department and the community, while also supporting officer wellness and community engagement. Her appointment reflected a growing effort among many police agencies to include professionals from outside traditional law enforcement in leadership roles focused on community relations and officer wellness. For several years, Jennifer Lackard represented those efforts, and that makes these allegations in this case particularly noteworthy. Now, following her arrest, the City of Mount Vernon announced that Jennifer Lackard's employment had been terminated. City officials have also stated that the allegations related to her personal conduct are not accusations that she misused her official job responsibilities while serving as deputy police commissioner. Now, according to prosecutors, however, the events leading to her arrest did not begin on the day of the shooting. Investigators allege they were the culmination of actions involving her son Chase Lackard, whose name had reportedly appeared in previous law enforcement investigations before this case. Now, according to prosecutors, Jennifer Lackard's son, 20-year-old Chase Lackard, is alleged to have been involved in gang activity before the events that led to this indictment. And based on reporting from multiple local news organizations, Chase had previous encounters with law enforcement before June of 2026. Those earlier indictments are legally separate from the current case, and they should not be interpreted as proof that he committed the crimes alleged. However, they do provide some important context. Now, local media report that in 2023, Chase was involved in an incident in the Bronx in which he was shot after reportedly asking other individuals about their gang affiliation. Then in 2024, he was involved in an encounter with police in which authorities alleged he pointed a firearm at officers. Charges were filed in that separate case, and those proceedings are distinct from the allegations we're discussing here today. Now, according to prosecutors, Chase was already known to investigators before the June 29, 2026 incident. As with every defendant, Chase Lackard, is presumed innocent of the current charges unless and until proven guilty in court. So what do prosecutors allege actually happened here? And according to prosecutors, the events began on June 29 outside the Bronx Criminal Court. Authorities allege that rival gang members were expected to be in the area. Now, prosecutors claim that Chase Lackard traveled to the courthouse with assistance from his parents. And according to news reports, summarizing the indictment, prosecutors allege Jennifer Lackard exchanged text messages concerning the timing of picking up her son after the shooting. Those reported messages include statements such as, when, and you can't just sit directly outside. It has to be timed right. Prosecutors allege Chase then approached a rival gang member and fired multiple shots. Investigators further allege that Jennifer drove the vehicle away from the area after the shooting and returned to the family's residence, where prosecutors claim Chase changed clothing before law enforcement arrived. Again, these are allegations contained in the prosecution's case. They have not been proven in court, and the defendants have the right to challenge the evidence against them through the judicial process. Now, this case moves from the investigation stage into the criminal justice system. News reports indicate that prosecutors have filed multiple felony charges arising from the June 29th incident. Because we have not reviewed the complete indictment, I don't want to speculate beyond what has been consistently reported by reliable news organizations. According to those reports, the charges include allegations related to attempted murder, conspiracy, weapons offenses, and other related criminal charges. One of the legal concepts frequently mentioned in this case is conspiracy. Many people hear that word but aren't entirely sure what it means. So in simple terms, a conspiracy charge generally alleges that two or more people agreed to commit a criminal act and that at least one person took an overt step carrying out that plan. It's important to understand that prosecutors must prove every element of that charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Simply knowing someone or being related to someone is not enough by itself. The court must determine whether sufficient evidence exists to prove an unlawful agreement and participation in that agreement. As this case moves forward, prosecutors will present their evidence. The defense will have the opportunity to challenge the evidence, and ultimately a judge or jury will determine whether prosecution has met its burden of proof. Now, One reason this case has received national attention is because Jennifer Lackard served in a senior leadership role within a police department. And it's important to distinguish between criminal charges and broader issues involving public trust. Based on the reporting available, Jennifer Lackard has not been charged with a crime specifically titled public corruption. However, allegations involving public officials often receive greater public attention because communities expect those entrusted with public safety to uphold the law and serve as examples of integrity. Public confidence in law enforcement depends on accountability. Now, when allegations involve someone who held a leadership position within a police department, people naturally ask whether that trust has been compromised. Those are legitimate public questions. At the same time, our justice system requires that allegations be tested in court, not decided in the court of public opinion. Whether prosecutors can prove these allegations, of course, remain to be seen. Now, this case also provides an opportunity to explain two important criminal justice topics: gang violence and obstruction of justice. Now, gang investigations are often among the most complex investigations conducted by law enforcement. Unlike many other crimes, investigators are not simply trying to determine who committed one isolated offense. They are often trying to establish relationships between individuals, patterns of criminal activity, communications, retaliation, weapons possession, and whether multiple crimes are connected. And this is one reason gang investigations frequently take months or even years to complete. And one question that I often receive is, why don't we see official statistics on gang violence the way we do for murders or, say, robberies? And the answer is gang violence is not a separate crime category in most public crime reporting systems. Law enforcement agencies report crimes such as homicide, aggravated assault, robbery, and weapons offenses. During an investigation, detectives may later determine that a crime was gang-related based on intelligence, evidence, witness statements, digital evidence, or the broader investigation. Because of that, many police departments do not publish annual totals for gang violence in the way that they publish homicide or robbery stats. Now, some agencies release information about investigations or gang-related shootings, but there's no single nationwide reporting system that consistently tracks every gang-related crime. Now, here at Crime Stats Daily, our goal is to report statistics only when they can be verified through official sources. If an official statistic isn't available, we'll explain why rather than speculate or repeat numbers that cannot be independently confirmed. Sometimes the most accurate answer isn't a number, it's understanding how the criminal justice system actually works. The second concept is obstruction. In general terms, obstruction of justice involves intentionally interfering with a criminal investigation or legal proceeding. So some examples may include destroying evidence, concealing evidence, helping someone avoid arrest, intimidating witnesses, or interfering with investigators. Now, whether any defendant's conduct meets the legal definition of obstruction is a legal question that prosecutors must prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, this case has drawn national attention because it combines several issues rarely seen together: a former deputy police commissioner, an alleged gang-related shooting, a family accused of acting together, and difficult questions about accountability when the criminal justice system. At this As this case proceeds through the courts, additional information may become publicly available, including the full indictment, witness testimony, surveillance evidence, and other court filings. When those records become available, we'll continue to report the verified facts and explain what they mean. Until then, it's important to remember that the criminal charges are allegations only. Jennifer Lackard, Chase Lackard, and James Lackard, and every other defendant in this case are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, if you found today's report informative, please subscribe, like, so you don't miss another episode. I'm Kim, and this is Crime Stats Daily. Stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.